Hi guys, welcome to my little paintbrush. I am Miss Sarah, and today we get to paint Angel. This is an addition to our stitch painting as well. If you haven't seen it, go look, because they come together and it's so cute. I am really excited about this. I've been wanting to do this for a while, so I hope you enjoy painting her with me. We're gonna get to mix colors and learn how to float and do some fun things, but remember that this is your painting. You get to mix the colors up. Do it however you want. Enjoy the process with me, okay? And don't be too hard on yourself. Remember, we're learning together, and you can pause the video, you can take your time, you can speed it up and go faster, whatever works for you. I have a couple brushes I'm using today. I'll be using this flat brush. I also have a detail brush and a number 6 round. These are the ones that work for me. You use what works for you. I also have 2 jars of water and a napkin handy. All my paint colors are laid out on my paint palette. I've separated my whites into 3 piles and all of my colors so that I don't contaminate my white all at once. It really makes it easier, so I suggest that you do that. First thing we're going to do is our background, so I want you to grab your flat brush, put in some water. We always start with water. We want our brush to be damp. Acrylic loves water. And my background's going to be turquoise, so all I'm going to do is add a little bit of white to my turquoise here, mix them together until I get the shade that I like. You'll want to mix quite a bit. You have a lot of background to fill. Okay, and I'm going to go lighter. You can go darker if you prefer. Let's start at the top and start brushing around our image. I'm going to try and be careful not to paint inside my image, but if I do, it's okay. It's all right, no big deal. We're just doing our best. And acrylic paints are so fun because you can go back and redo it or cover it up, right? And you know what? Paintings are supposed to be perfectly imperfect. So try not to let that perfectionism kick in too hard. I tend to do that sometimes. Okay, so you'll notice I'm getting close to Angel, but I'm not painting all the way up next to her. And that's because I want to add a glow around her here in a minute. I'll show you how to do that in a second. But if you don't want to add that white glow around her, you can paint all the way up to the image line. And that's just fine too. I do love texture in my paintings, so I tend to add it for fun. It's just something I do and I prefer. Okay, I'm also painting all the way down now to the bottom of my canvas here. And you can see I'm using both sides of my brush. Back and forth, painting over any drips, smoothing out my paint as I go so it dries nicely for me. In these smaller areas, use what we call the toe of our brush. That's the tippy point of your brush. If you turn it, you can paint in those smaller areas without having to switch up your brush. Okay. We also love to wrap our canvas. That's where you paint the top and the sides as you go. It just looks really nice when you're done. And it looks ready for the shelf. So I'm going to start what's called a glow. You see this? Okay, I'm floating the white around. We call it a glow. You can call it whatever you want, but it also adds a lot of texture. I'm going to put a little bit of white on the corner of my brush, just like that. And I'm facing it towards the image, and I'm going to brush around, letting it kind of fade into my background color. I'm doing this while my background is still wet. That way I can just blend it in. And the nice thing is, if you don't like the white, you can just go back and cover it up. Put more background in, whatever you want, paint right back over it. Makes that kind of easy. So you can try it, see if you like it. If you don't, just go back and take it out. But it just draws some attention to our painting. It also fills in any negative space, adds some texture and movement to our work. So I just leave those brush strokes. I like them. Okay, we're going to do inside the ear as well. Facing that white towards my image, going around. You want to do this while your paint is still wet. Mine dries really fast, so I'm having to kind of paint a little more blue in there so it fades a little easier. But yours should do it pretty well. There we go. Okay, and if you want any more, just add it. You can always add more. I always start with less so I can go back and add more if I want to. Okay, so now that we've done that, we're gonna go ahead to the bottom. Same thing, right under the ear, I'm facing that white. Again, I'm putting white on the corner. If your paint is starting to dry, you can put a little bit of the background color on the other side to float, but yours shouldn't be. All right, let's go around, fill it in. Again, I'm trying not to paint inside my image. It's kind of tricky. Just doing our best here. Okay, I'm going to come around there. There we go. Just keep brushing it all the way around, coming up underneath, above the shoulder and back down. So cute. I love it. I love turquoise. Now, if you want to add a little bit of movement to the background of your painting, one thing you can do is come with a little bit of white and brush around a little bit away from the image like this. And that way you can get this fun white swirls and texture. It just makes it look like there's some movement and personality in your painting there. Not necessary, but it's fun if you want to add it. There we go. I'm going to let this background dry and rinse my brush. Really good. Okay. Now let's add the first layer of Angel. Okay, and I'm going to go light to dark. So we're going to create our light pink first for the ears and around the eye and the belly. And to make a light pink, you just want a touch of your red with a lot of white. So I'm just going to take a tiny bit of red to start with, mix it with some white. Okay, let's try it. I might change it up. See, I want a little more red. I want it a little bit darker. Always start with a little bit because that red will just take over. Okay, add a touch at a time. And mix until I like it. I think I'm about there. I like that shade. So we're going to start with it. Okay, you can always change it, but I always start as light as I can. It's a lot easier to add the dark to it. Okay, so let's paint up and down the inside of this ear. You see, I'm trying to brush in the direction the ear is going. Okay, those brush strokes will help give it the right shape. Use the toe of your brush if you need to get into these little corners. Don't worry too much about having the perfect shape yet. We're going to come back to that later. Okay, and now we're going to do the eye. Just curve around the top of the eye. It's like a rainbow. Finish filling that out. Go around the shape of the eye. Now I'm going to use the toe of my brush here. If you want to use a smaller brush, you can, but we're just going to come straight down to the nose from that outline using the toe of our brush. Now our paint kit comes all fully outlined for you. So this is all prepared so that you can just enjoy this process and learn as you go. There we go. So I'm just brushing it in, making sure I have all the paint brushed nice and smooth. Okay, now that we've done that, we're going to go do the belly. Right under the chin. around the fingers and this little hand here. Brush it out. Again, I'm using the toe on my brush. Switch paintbrushes if you need to. It's a small space. And then right under the arm, we're going to finish it up. There we go. Perfect. Just like that. Okay, now you can wrap your canvas, paint around the side of the ear over there if you need to. Double check, make sure you don't need another layer. All right, fill it all in. Love it. Okay, just making sure my edges here are done. Now, one thing you can do is put a little bit of darker pink on the corner of your brush, face it to the outside, and float it. This isn't necessary. I do it sometimes just to draw attention to the painting, right? And it just gives it kind of a bubble look a little bit, and I like that. So sometimes I'll just take a little bit of that dark red, mix it with some pink, leave it on the corner of my brush, face it out. Now you want to be really careful with this because it can easily take over your painting and you will lose that pretty pink that you just did. So this is only if it's something you want to do. It's not necessary. I like to put a little bit under the chin for a shadow, so sometimes I'll put the darker pink under the chin and the arm. But it's not super obvious. I'll make it a little darker for you so you can kind of see what I'm saying. Let's see. Just like this. So you can kind of see where it is. I'll put it under the arm. Brush it in, and that casts a slight shadow underneath. Just adds a little dimension to your painting, only if you want to try it. I like to throw in some little things for you to try. Okay, there you go. So now that that pink is on there, oh, we got one more spot. Don't forget, got to do just right under the mouth here. Use a smaller brush or the toe to fill in the mouth. Don't want to forget that. Very important. Very cute. Bring that smile up. Use a smaller brush or the toe to get that tiny little area. Just like that. Okay, now let's let this dry. We're now going to do the full body, and you'll want to add more red to your light pink to get a darker pink now. Okay, we want a darker shade, darker than what you just had. Want it to stand out. Make sure it definitely looks different, right? You want a different shade. Let's see if this is dark enough. I think it is. That's pretty good. I like it. Sometimes it looks a little different on canvas, so I like to try it and see. And that's good. Okay, let's go around the eye. Now I didn't rinse my brush, so if you're feeling like your brush is getting thirsty or your acrylic paint, go ahead and add some water to your brush. Okay, sometimes you need to do that. Go around this nose, fill it in, brushing up and down. And get all the way up here to the top. We got our eyebrow. So cute, I love it. All the way up to the board here. There we go. I like to add a little bit of white to my brush, brush it in on the center of the head if I feel like it's too dark. I always go back and change it a little bit. There we go. Okay, let's go ahead and start going around here. This is kind of tricky. You got to go slow and take your time. I try not to pick up my brush as I go around. The reason being it gets big really fast. So you want to start slow. Okay. I'm going to come up backwards here to curve it out because that's easier for my wrist to do. You can do whatever feels natural for you. Just want to try and follow it without picking up your brush. Oh. Smeared it a little bit. It happens, okay? I'm going to try and get up close to the eye, as close as I can. Now come down here and finish it. It's like a hook here. It just curves around. Up and around. This is where you kind of have to focus a little bit to get this. It's always a little bit tricky when you're doing line work. Curve it. Right there, she has it curved. And we'll finish it up. Very cute. There we go, we did it. Okay, let's finish up our ear. Coming down, up next to the face. Use the toe or a smaller brush to do that corner. And remember, we're going to come back and outline, so don't worry too much about having those perfect edges. You can clean those up later. Okay. Just don't want to lose your outline here. So I'm going to get close to the eye, but I'll use a smaller brush to clean it up. Under the nose, I'm just doing the bigger stuff right now. Because I don't want to lose my outline. Very important, right? All right, that's good. So we'll come back and fix that later. Let's fill out the arm. I just do all the bigger things with a bigger brush, so I don't get too many clumps of paint anywhere. Smaller brush sometimes clumps up on us. So I'll use a bigger brush and then I'll come back with a smaller brush to do little detail work. Okay. All the way down. You can wrap the bottom of your canvas right there if you want. Get her arm. Bottom of her arm here. Straight down off the canvas. Okay. Now I'm going to paint her little knuckles here. Remember, it curves like a rainbow shape. And I'll come back and clean those up too. I'm just doing the main big areas. Okay. Awesome. Curve this one out. Her finger here goes right off the canvas and kind of gets hidden behind the surfboard. I love it. Looking so cute. Okay, I'm just going to go back and make sure I have everything covered. Do a quick brush over. Make sure it looks the way I want, and I have a good layer on there. Now you can float the edges with a darker shade if you want. You can't, like we did with the ear. So I'll put a little bit of that red on the corner. And this is totally optional, just if you want to. It just adds a little bit of shading to your painting. So sometimes I do that because I like the way it looks, but it's not necessary. So I'm facing that red on the outside, just like that. And I'm going to face it outside here on the top of her eyebrow. And I just follow the outline. And I do this while the paint is still wet, so it fades into that color and doesn't leave a harsh line. It's all preference though, because you are going to outline this as well, possibly if you want to. Some artists don't outline those, so they like to do a darker shade like this to kind of clean up the lines, and then they don't outline it. So, you know, again, it's just whatever you like, what you prefer. Okay. Takes a little concentration though, that's for sure. There we go. Brushing it all in, make sure all those drips are out. And my paint is drying really fast. Yours may not be drying as fast as mine. Doing those edges really quick here. I'm just keeping that red on the corner, trying not to let it take over. If you get too much red, it does, right? Blending it in. Okay, finish up down here. Remember, you are outlining and adding some highlights as well, so there's lots more to come. Okay, then we'll just do this arm here. Float along that edge with the darker shade. There we go. Come around a little bit. Blend it in. All right, and we're going to add a little bit of a crease here to the arm where it bends. Perfect. And a little bit to the top of the hand if you would like to, just to draw some attention there. And then what I like to do is I'm just going to curve a little bit to the top of each finger, just like that, so you can see it, and then a little bit on this bottom one, just like that. Let's see, do we get it all? I think I want a little more shading under the nose for a shadow there, and the eye. Those are important to me because that's where a shadow should be, to add some dimension there and make it look like it's that nose is casting a shadow. We're going to add it here. You can also outline this with dark red too, with a detail brush. Our younger artists tend to do that. Just a little bit easier for them. I'm going to repaint over this mouth because I painted in it a little bit. Can always do that too, just kind of clean it up before moving on. Perfect. Anywhere that you feel like you just need a little touch up, then go for it. Beauty of acrylics. You can just go back and do some touch-up work. Clean it up anywhere you think. I'm thinking it looks really good. So I'm just gonna let this dry for a minute. Now you can see my edges aren't perfect. We don't need to worry about that right now. Okay, so let's just rinse our brush and let's do our nose. While that's drying, so I've rinsed my brush really well. My nose is purple. All my paints have just fallen while I'm holding it here. But I'm gonna add white and purple together here until I get the shade I want. I start light because purple is transparent and you may need another layer, okay? You can see right through it. So first I start light and my second layer will be darker. So I'm gonna put my lighter purple on here first. Let's just curve it around. I can see right through it. So I'm not worried about covering my lines. If you're worried about that, just paint around them. Okay. There we go. We got that layer on. I am going to switch brushes for the nails. I'm going to use my detail brush for that because they're just slightly too small for my big brush. So let's just go paint these nails here. Paint them purple, fill them in. Very cute. Just giving her a nice nail job here. Just like you're painting her fingernails. Love it. That. Let it dry. While that's drying, let's go to our board. Because you've got to do 2 layers of yellow. So we're going to put one on. Going to be a light yellow. Let's pick up some white. Mix it with some yellow. Save some for later. Starting with a light yellow first. All you're going to do, brush up and down and fill this in. But you can see pretty quickly how it's very transparent. You can see right through this yellow. So that's why it'll probably need 2 layers of yellow. Unless you're happy with it. Okay, I'm going to brush all the way down. You did just paint these fingernails, so be very careful. Let them dry. Mine dry very, very fast because of these lights, but you might need to pause this for a second and paint the nails. Or let the nails dry and then paint the board around the nails is what I'm trying to say. Okay, and come down here to these fingers. We're just going to carefully paint around. There we go. You can get up close, but just try not to get purple in your yellow if possible. But it's nice to paint them first because then if you accidentally get any purple on or pink, this you can just cover it up right here. That's why we do this in steps for you. There we go. Beautiful. I love it. Now, anything that feel you need to cover, just get a little white on your brush. You can cover it up. I got a little bit there. There we go. It's covered up. Brush it in. Let that dry a second. While it's drying, I'm not rinsing my brush. I'm just going to get some red on my brush. Now, if you feel like, again, you need some water, go for it. But I'm letting that yellow and white mix into my red. That's on my brush. I want it in there. And we're just going to do this part of our board here. And you can reach around and wrap the canvas. You see I'm just brushing up and down here. Now this line doesn't need to be perfect, okay? It's going to be a little bit tricky. It always is. When I do it, I like to start at the top, make sure my wrist is stable, and try not to pick up my brush as I go down. If I don't have enough paint in my brush, it's going to start breaking. Do you see that? See how my paint is breaking? Not enough paint. So I didn't make it all the way down. So I have to start again and try and come right back to where I was and keep going down. Very tricky, but you can just try it and do your best. It doesn't have to be perfect. It really doesn't. Perfectly imperfect is what we like to say. But it's looking so good. All right, let's rinse our brush, let the board dry for a minute. Let's go finish that nose. Okay, now with the nose, we need another layer of paint. I like to focus the dark on the top of the nose and in the little nostril right here, and then it's lighter on the bottom of the nose. So I'm going to take some darker purple now, mix it with my lighter purple. Okay. You see it's a lot darker now with that second layer. Okay, and then I'm going to show you how we make it lighter on the bottom of the nose. First, let's just fill it in. Got to paint right next to the board here, trying not to paint inside as much as we can. Lines are hard. Okay, now that we have our darker shade on there, and it's all brushed out, now I'm going to get a little bit of white on the tip of my brush here. Okay, and I'm going to paint right around the nostril and down and focus that white, brushing it in on the bottom part around that nostril. Just like that, brush it in. Okay, keep the dark on the top as much as you can. And fade it into the light. Not going to be perfect. You just want to keep the lighter on the bottom and the darker on the top. Very cute. And it's not necessary. It's just kind of fun to learn how to do a little bit of shading on your image. So I just like to try it. Try it and have fun. See what happens. Okay. Now that that's done, let's go and finish up our nails. I'm going to do another layer of purple, just slightly darker. Like that. One more. Very cute. Love it. Shape it out as best I can. Just like that. Okay. Make sure this nostril is filled in. Awesome. Guys, we're almost done. We're going to do our finish up work here. Okay, let's finish up our board. Your yellow should be dry enough. I'll show you what to do now. Make sure your brush is really clean because it will show everything. Let's just finish up the board. Okay, so we have white along the inside of the board to make it look like it's been used. It has light and dark paint, okay, on there. So we don't, unless you like it to be just a flat color, that's fine. I like to add a little bit of dimension to it by just putting some white on my brush here. Okay, and I'm going to brush up and down towards the center of my board with that white. Okay, and move in. Don't rinse your brush, just let it fade. Just like that. Okay, very simple. And then you're going to take some dark yellow and start on the outside of the board. Redo it here. Make sure you have a nice line if possible. Okay, just like that. I'm going to come all the way down. Got to go right past this nose here. Perfect. Okay. Now while it's still a little bit wet, I'll show you we're going to fade it into the white. Okay, so now start brushing towards the white. Let that yellow fade into your white. So you'll go from one side being white and the other side yellow, and they'll meet together. Just have to finish up down here too. Don't forget underneath the hand, brush it out. Okay. Let's put a little more white on there. You can just kind of play with it, but you want them to kind of meet in the middle and blend together. Just kind of fade out. So anywhere you want more white, just put it on your brush. I like to leave some strokes so it just kind of looks like there's no pattern here. It's just how it came, you know? How it lies. Sometimes our brush tells us what it's going to do. And that's awesome. Let's see, I want a little more white up top. Just like some strokes. Do I like it? I think I do. I think it's looking pretty good. Maybe a little more white in the middle. And that looks awesome. So I'm going to leave it, rinse my brush. Now with this red here, if you want to darken it, you can. And put another layer on there. One thing I like to do sometimes to kind of scuff it up is put a touch of black on the corner of my brush, just a touch, because black takes over, and with some red on my brush too, but just a touch of black, okay? And I'm gonna face that towards the edge of my board, brush up and down, and let it just kind of fade into my red. And you can kind of see it adds a little bit of a worn look to it. But again, that's an extra little thing you can add if you want to. I just brush it in, but you want to go really light where it does take over very fast. So start with a little bit, see if you like it, and darken it up a little. Okay. And then I'm going to add a touch of white to one corner of my brush and put the white in the center to make it look like there's different shades in there. This is just stuff you can add to make the board look a little bit worn. And that's it. I'm done with that. Love that. Okay, let's do our outlining and finish up with our highlights. You guys are done. So Angel here, let's see. I'm going to add a little bit more dark though real quick here to her nose, just to make it slightly darker on top of it. There we go. Brush it in. Okay, now we've got to do her eye. Her eye is black, and remember, black takes over, so you want to take it easy with the black. Start very small. I'm going to put some black here on my brush. You use the brush that works for you. I like this flat one, but if you want to use a smaller brush, you can. We're just going to fill it in. I like to sometimes just use my line brush and outline it first and then fill it in. That helps too. Just depends on your preference. Trying not to fill in our little white reflection there on top of the eye. Come down, brush it in, make sure you brush in any drips. So if you were to use your line brush, that's this one here, put some black on it. Okay, and I would start at the top, go around, make sure that edge is done first before I fill it in. There we go, come all the way around. Because shapes are tricky. have to kind of slow down. Take your time on it. There we go. All the way around there. Then I'm going to come down the other side. Brush it in. Fill it in on all those little corners around our reflection. And then she has a cute little eyelash that we want to put in there. Make sure you add a little bit of water to your black. It helps it go on so much better. Okay, now right here, she has a little crease in her eye. So what I like to do is start at the top, come down, and keep going and curve it out, but follow it from the top. Okay, and this eyelash, so cute. It starts on the outside here in the background, okay, and it comes down just a little bit from her eye. It's going to meet right about here. Okay, so I like to come out here and curve that eyelash and meet the eye like that, right? It can be thick, it can be thin, whatever you prefer. And then with the top of her eye, let's go ahead and go all the way around and finish that outline. A little bit at a time. All right. I like it. Make sure I have that reflection ready for white in a minute. Very cute. Her eye is so important, right? Just want to make sure you get it right. Okay, let's let that dry for a minute. And while that eye is drying, let's start at the top. I'm going to start outlining from the top. Now, outlining is totally optional. It's just whether or not you want to. But I take a detail brush at this point and just follow the edges, just like this. And we're matching stitch, so that's why we're outlining. But you can do whatever you like best. You can outline with red. You don't need to outline with the black if you don't want to. There's a little bit of crease up here, so I'm going to start above and then wrap it around. So it looks like there's a little hook up there. And remember, another tip that's really important is that you add water to your black. It really helps if it's thin. Okay. Then let's do our eyebrow here. Curve it around and come down. And finish off the top of the head. Very good. Love it. And then we have the eye. So I'm going to start here at the eyelash and curve it around. I'm trying not to pick up my brush as I go. Just let it fade out. Finish off over here. Okay. Now you can follow that around or not. Totally up to you. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Our artists all have different opinions on that, whether they like to or not. Okay, follow this all the way across for the chin. All right, and we're going to do the nose here. And then follow around the nostril. Finish that out. Love it. Now let's do our smile. And right here, she just curves it like a rainbow on the edge. Isn't that cute? right up to the board there. And then I'm going to wait for this to dry before I do the ear. I just don't like to risk smearing my paint. I'm going to come over here and finish this up first. And then we'll do the other side. You can go ahead and do the whole thing if you want. I just kind of let it fade out in areas and let it be. It's a personal choice. Okay, we have this little crease here in the arm. All the way up to the board there. And then the top of the hand. Okay, now let's curve these out one at a time. We have 1 and then 2. I do these first. All the rainbow shapes. Just to make sure we get those cute fingers. And then on the bottom, shaped like a smile. Then we'll finish it off on the other side, just inside there. Like that. I love it. Now, if it's dry, you can go finish the ear, but I don't think it is. Kind of waiting to see here. Finish here, coming up. Let that fade out. I think I can. There we go. We made it without smearing anything. Whew. Now we got to do the top part of the ear. And I just did a little bit of the bottom of the ear. You can decide if you want to go all the way up. I just kind of let it fade out on that one. Let's see, I just don't want to smear it. Let's see if I can let it fade out here. There we go. Very cute. I love it. So I noticed, let's see if that's dry. I noticed that I didn't do an outline on the bottom of the eye right there. So that's optional for you guys. I don't know why my brain just kept going, but it did. So right here, you don't have to outline that if you don't want to. Obviously I did, and it's great. It's just a preference. So you don't need to outline that if you don't want to. All right, I'm going to do the reflection in the eye really quick, and then the highlights, and we're done. Let's do it. We always save white for last if we can, and then add light wherever possible. White is so important for a painting. It just brightens it up so much. So I'm putting white on my detail brush, and I'm just painting this oval shape in the eye. Make sure your eye is dry before you fill this in, though. You want to make sure you're not getting a gray oval here. You don't want it. Right? It can easily turn on you. Okay. Perfect. Okay, so you can either add your highlight with a detail brush, which is like this. So if I were to take white on my detail brush, I would just add that light just like that. Add it under the mouth and on the nose here. Or you can float it, so it's really a preference thing. Got some yellow in my brush. Just whatever you prefer to do. I'm just using my detail brush this time, but sometimes I'll float it. Got one in our ear here. And we have one more. Oh, again, got some different color in there. Just curving around here where the light might be reflecting. Just like that. I love it. Let's see. I can cover that line now. Now that the black is dry, there we go. I like that better, a lot better. Okay, I think we've done everything. I love this so much. She's so cute. I hope you guys had fun painting with me today. Remember, you can keep on adding colors. You can change things up and make it your very own. Don't have to do it just like Miss Sarah did it. We would love to see your work. So if you tag us at My Little Paintbrush, we can see it and celebrate with you. Make sure that you sign your name because you're proud of yourself. You did a big thing and I'm sure it's adorable, but you want to sign it so you can own it and tell everyone you did it and then hang it up for everyone to see. Like that. There's my name. All right, you guys, give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed this, and we will paint with you next time. Bye-bye.